definitely we know what we don't need. Sometimes we really don't know what we need, but we definitely know what we don't need in life. When we find ourselves complaining about something that's a straight indicator that we have an issue with a certain code of conduct. If you ever find yourself complaining about something, that's a straight up indicator that you have an issue with a certain code of conduct. Do you know when you are being manipulated or taken advantage of by people? Because once you recognize the tactics that people use to silence you, you will be able to stand up for yourself. Gaslighting is a manipulation tactic that many people who don't want to take responsibility. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We're in the month of June 2022, and my name is Sarah Ayuma, the all-round nutritionist. If you're new to this channel, please support it by clicking the subscribe button below. Also, like, share, comment on any of my videos that interest you the most. I normally do videos about various life etiquette rules. I shed some light on how to go about various life activities in an elegant manner. And that's why I decided to start this series that will be running once a month, once in every month on this channel. There'll be videos on eating, on dining, there'll be videos on socializing, and basically having a good time with family and friends in such a manner as to avoid embarrassment and gain confidence, because confidence is everything in life. It doesn't matter how you look like physically. What matters is your level of confidence and your etiquette and how good you are ethically. All right, guys, please lend me your ears for a bit. It's time for us to have a talk. So today's etiquette episode, I think it's etiquette episode 5, if I'm not wrong, is about boundaries. Stay tuned to the very end because the closing remark is so juicy and you can't afford to miss. So ever felt like you are being pushed around or disrespected or walked over by people? Well, stick around for some juicy stuff because this video is just for you. Very important facts will be mentioned here in this video for you. Don't stay in silent desperation. Let's learn to speak up and say exactly what we mean. Give that interaction the best medicine it needs to be healthy. And by interaction here, I mean any interaction, be it with your brothers, with your sisters, with your mom, with your child, with your husband, with your colleagues at work, with your boss. Any kind of interaction should be maintained at a very healthy level. So boundaries and communication make any interaction healthy, be it a husband and wife interaction, a friend interaction, or a boss or colleague type of interaction. Sometimes in life, we may not know what we need, but we definitely will know what we don't need. We definitely will know what we don't need. Sometimes we really don't know what we need, but we definitely know what we don't need in life. When we find ourselves complaining about something that's a straight indicator that we have an issue with a certain code of conduct. If you ever find yourself complaining about something, that's a straight up indicator that you have an issue with a certain code of conduct. Do you know when you are being manipulated or taken advantage of by people? Because once you recognize the tactics that people use to silence you, you will be able to stand up for yourself. Gaslighting is a manipulation tactic that many people who don't want to take responsibility for their actions normally use. Have you ever been gaslit? Right? Gaslighting is just a tactic. It's a manipulation tactic that most people who don't want to take responsibility for their actions usually use to pin others down. You ever had someone say, I did this because you did that? Have you ever had someone say that they did something because you did something else? They are straight up gaslighting you. So take note of that. Ladies and gentlemen, learn to have boundaries even with your house chores. Learn to have boundaries even with your house chores. You don't have to make a bed that someone overslept on, by the way. You don't have to make a bed that someone overslept on. All right? Let the last person to get up make that bed. Let the last person to get up make that bed. When married, and maybe this man isn't used to making the bed, and you can't help not making it. If your love language is acts of service and you've communicated your boundary as much, then your husband shouldn't find it hard to make that bed, especially if he wakes up last. That's an act of service. But he should understand that it is your love language. So it should not be hard for him to actually make that bed when he wakes up last, because he'll just be but showing you a love through making that bed. Ladies, boundaries that have been communicated properly shouldn't be hard for the other person to keep. Boundaries that have been communicated properly shouldn't be hard for the other person to keep. But if they intentionally violate the boundary that you've set, remember, you can't change a person. So what has worked for me is, oh, sorry, but if they intentionally violate the boundary that you've set and clearly communicated to them, then I'm sorry to tell you, but they do not respect you. All right? If you have set a boundary and communicated that boundary well, and still someone finds it hard to keep or respect that boundary, it's just outright that they do not respect you as a person, and that's not the kind of interaction that you'd want to stay in. That's not the kind of interaction that you'd want to stay in for a long time. Remember, you can't change a person. So what has worked for me is setting boundaries around myself and communicating. For example, someone comes home late without any proper communication, or their communication is neither here nor there, all right? Their communication is neither here or there, and they come home late. And you find out that this person maybe has been, entertaining other ladies during that extra hour that they choose not to be in the house. And they supposedly are married to you. You can tell these individuals that you'll only be available to open the door up to a certain point in time, all right, of the night. If they come later than that time, then they'll find you sleeping, and they will have to wait until the next morning for you to open the door for them. Because also, them staying wherever that they choose to stay is a choice that they've made, all right? And if you have set a boundary that maybe time wise you need, and you've communicated this boundary properly, this individual shouldn't find it hard to actually respect that boundary and avail themselves in good time, maybe for you to lock the door. So for me, that's an example that, that can work for anyone that finds themselves in that situation where, someone chooses to come home late, and maybe in their coming home late, they're really entertaining other women, forgetting that they're married, and maybe you as a woman need them during that time of the night or day. So if they come home late, maybe 5 times a week, you can just state that past this time you will not be able to open the door for them because you will be sleeping. So they should also make an effort of coming home early if they want you to open that door for them. All right. So that's just an example that mm, will help maintain a healthy relationship between you and the other person. This will make them also decide for themselves what they actually want. All right. So let's keep in mind that we've been programmed not to have boundaries straight from when we were children. Like, for example, my son sometimes sometime back, this person who wanted to hug him, and he really didn't want to hug this person, but this person kept forcing a hug on him. It's almost like, he was saying no, and this person kept pushing because maybe they did not respect his no. It's almost like raising a yes generation, which I keep telling parents, it's not a healthy generation. So let's accept when our children also say no, affirm their no, teach them it's okay to say no. That way, they'll be able to learn to set boundaries for themselves early enough. For us as adults, with already programmed mindsets, if you're an adult with an already programmed mindset, it will take you a lot of effort to start setting the so-called boundaries. Don't just sit back and allow anyone to take advantage of you for a long time to a point that you find yourself yelling and lashing out. Communicate your boundary early enough and say no consistently. Use statements like, I see you're not understanding, especially when someone is overstepping your boundary. When someone is overstepping your boundary, you can use a statement like, I see that you're not understanding, but it's a no for me. And if someone keeps stepping on you, on your well communicated boundaries to a point that they are becoming unhealthy for you, let me tell you something. The best thing to do is cut them off. If you've communicated your boundary properly and someone keeps overstepping on your boundary to a point that that relationship or interaction becomes unhealthy, it's the best thing to do is just to cut them off. I will insist that you cut them off only when you're ready to do so. Remember, your tolerance of nonsense may be higher than mine, so I can't determine anything. Only cut people loose when you are ready, but always have a one set rule about cutting people off. Always have a one set rule about cutting people off. Choose to do what's best for you. It's your choice. It's your choice and it's your life. Do it when you are comfortable and ready. You've got to figure out which choice you can live with. You've got to figure out which choice you can live with. And you have to choose your heart wisely. You have to choose your heart wisely. Dealing with anything is a choice because you can also choose not to deal with it. Dealing with anything is a choice and you can also choose not to deal with it. All right? I hope I'm clear on that. Anyone that drains you emotionally doesn't have to be on your priority list even for a month. Anyone who drains you emotionally does not need to be on your priority list even for a month or even a year. You can mute them for 1 year, or you can there are these social media options that we have been given, things like blocking them, deleting their number, just cutting them off in a way that is comfortable for you. But I would advise that you only block or delete someone's number if you really want to cut them off permanently. Sometimes you just need a breather, a break. You can just mute someone. They'll be texting you and you'll not be receiving their texts. You can mute their statuses so that you don't keep checking them their statuses all the time. You can do what works for you, but to a point that you feel like you want to block them or even delete their number, that is optional. And only do that when you are ready to cut them off permanently. Okay, you have to determine what works best for your energy. Put boundaries around you, around how you interact with those you are not comfortable with cutting off yet. Put boundaries around how you want to interact with those you are not comfortable with cutting off yet. I also keep telling people boundaries come with a change in your circle of friends. Boundaries come with a change in your circle of friends. You cannot put boundaries and still expect to keep your circle of friends intact. Boundaries come with a change in your circle of friends. You will have to change that too for the sake of your boundaries. You have to change your circle of friends too for the sake of your boundaries. Also, get to know yourself better. Use a journal. Learn your triggers. I want to just like give you an assignment, a personal assignment, and you really don't have to write down. You can write down and tear that page later because I don't believe in keeping records of yourself, right? Because someone else might use that record to harm you. You never know, someone might use that record to harm you in future. So you can just generalize your triggers. What triggers you? What triggers you? Do you know your triggers? All right, and come up with ways of how you're going to deal with them. There's nothing new under the sun. Don't allow people talk when you are not ready to listen. Don't allow anyone to talk to you when you're not ready to listen. Right? Tell them something like, I'm on my way to work. This isn't a good time for me. Is this something we can talk about later in the night? All right? Protect your energy and be polite with your statements. Protect your energy and be polite with your statements. You can just tell someone, I'm on my way to work. This isn't a good time for me to listen to you. Could we talk about this later on in the night after I'm done with work? That way, you will not, go to work with an overburdened mind. Sometimes someone can just call you to tell you things that, will crowd your mind. And maybe you had a plan for your day. You had a plan for your day. You had a plan for your day. And so them telling you whatever it is that they're telling you will make your mind, be crowded, and you'll not perform at work or wherever you're going. So you can just save that later. You can save that for later by just telling this person politely that if they don't mind, you can talk about that stuff that they want to talk about later in the night. If you are a people's pleaser, remember, it could be detrimental, and at the end of the day, you will always have yourself first, then other people. So put yourself first. Care for yourself first. Put yourself first. Care for yourself first. It's never that serious, by the way. Put yourself first. Care for yourself first. Because at the end of the day, you'll always have yourself uh, before having other people. You'll always have yourself to deal with before having other people, right? Mm-hmm. Oh. So my challenge to you today would just be, learn your triggers. I've ever asked someone if they actually knew their triggers, what triggers them. And apparently people don't know. So if you don't know your triggers, how are you going to handle? How are you going to handle things? All right? Because you're not doing anyone a favor when you deplete yourself in the name of helping them. You're not doing anyone a favor. You're not doing yourself a favor. You're not doing the other party a favor when you deplete yourself in the name of helping out or being good or being a people's pleaser. All right. So before saying yes, think of things you have to do for yourself and for your family. Then honor a request if it's okay with you. If it's okay with you, honor a request after putting into consideration all that you have to put into consideration. By the time someone is requesting something of you, they really don't know your levels of energy and how much of your energy is already taken up. So don't assume that they know or they should know. It's your work to actually tell them your level of energy, what you can handle, and just let them know where you are at in life. You really you really can't handle. Just tell someone you really can't handle this right now because you're committed somewhere else. And you don't have to apologize for having other things going on. You don't have to apologize for having other things going on in your life because anyway, it's your life, right? It's your life, it's not their life. So remember, there may be times that you're not available to them. And there may be times that you're not available. Sorry, there may be times that you're available to them, and there may be times that you're not available to them, and it's okay. It's okay. You don't need to apologize for anything if you're not available. All right, just communicate as much. Your responsibility is to communicate as much and not assume that they know your levels of energy, that they know that your time has already been taken off, that they know that your resources have already been taken up by other things. Just communicate as much. Before I started setting my own boundaries, I thought about how funny it is that everyone around me has boundaries that I don't have an issue respecting. Let's say, for example, I'll use my mom. May her soul continue resting in eternal peace. And my mom used to have things that she'd made clear to me that I shouldn't touch. For example, her peanuts. Can you imagine a peanut butter? She used to tell me that you will use a peanut butter when you're in your own house, right? Because this is my house, this is my peanut butter. It belongs to me, so don't touch it. All right? My mom was that strict, and she was that strict with her boundaries. She would say this that this is mine, right? When you get to your own house, you can buy your own peanut butter. Things parents say, like curfew time. Have your own time, curfew times as a girl. Have your own curfew times as a lady. Have your own curfew times as a woman, as a man, right? Have times that you just have to go home because these were standards that our parents set. In fact, if you stayed out past a certain time, you wouldn't be allowed to get into the house. So why is it that now that you have your own house, you can just stay out for as long as you want to? Have some curfew times. Just know that by 10 p.m. I should be in my house, no matter what. There's even someone who said that no matter how late it is, they're not spending a night anywhere else apart from their bed. That's also a curfew. So have some curfew times, all right? Even if it affects your parents, even if you visit your parents and your time is up, you just have to tell them, man, I need to go to my house because I need to be in my house by this and this time. Communicate your boundaries clearly. Have curfew times. Don't be that kind of a chick who just goes out and stays out for as late as they want to, and sleep wherever they want to with whoever they want to. I mean, what? Please, let's have some boundaries. Let's have some curfew times. I think and I believe our parents trained as well on this. So let's just follow suit. Right? Parents, if you're a parent, also train and allow your kids to have their own boundaries. Let's not raise a yes generation. It's like, I need to be in a relationship with you. And if that relationship matters, then I need to call you before 9 p.m. Then it's okay. Because I love you so much, then it really doesn't matter. It even doesn't matter. If you have a boundary that past 9 p.m., no calls for me, then I should plan my time well to respect your boundary and only call you, by that 9 p.m. All right? Set your own boundaries and have a better and more connected relationship or interaction that is healthy. Remember, I mentioned when I started this video that boundaries help to keep healthy relationships, okay? And even when you're married, things like, washing, if you're not okay with, there are people who are okay, and this is why I'm putting an exclaimer. Boundaries are personal. If you're not okay with washing someone's boxers, why should you wash them? If you're not okay with washing someone's socks, why should you wash them? Just because you're married. If you're not okay with doing everything in the house, why should you do? Learn to communicate your boundaries properly and emphasize on them. Because remember also, these are your boundaries. Make a point of reinstating them whenever people tend to overlook or forget them. Remember, it's your own thing, not theirs, and it's hard for them to be disciplined with your own stuff. So, what about someone else's boundaries? If it's hard for someone to be disciplined with their own stuff, what about your own boundaries? Do you think they'll be disciplined with them? So, keep reinstating your boundaries every once in a while. And you have to train people consistently to respect your boundaries by respecting your boundaries yourself. You have to respect your boundaries yourself. And that way, you'll train people to respect your boundaries. And if they maliciously disrespect them, then they actually do not respect you. So you have to decide. You have to decide. You have to decide to cut them off when you're ready. So my parting shot is, my closing remarks is, and remember I said this will be juicy, all right? So I hope and I know that you stayed to the end of this video for this juicy closing remark. Don't change your boundaries because people are pushing back against them. Don't change your boundaries because people are pushing back against them. Keep at it and be consistent. As I close, please understand that we live in a world with boundaries, and it's your right to have them. Two, we live in a world with boundaries. You just do things, very consistently, very frequently, that you forget that it's a boundary, right? Things like you can't go late to work. Things like, even your body has boundaries, by the way. If you overfeed it, you just gain weight, right? So we live in a in a world full of boundaries. And it's your right. It's your right, my dear. It's your right, sweetheart. It's your right, handsome. All right. It's your right to have your own boundaries and respect them. And respect them and teach people to respect them by reinstating your boundaries every once in a while. And anyone who cannot keep your boundaries, anyone who just maliciously disrespect your boundaries, remember, these individuals do not respect you. So when the time is right, cut them off and only maintain healthy interactions and healthy relationships for your healthy being. Only retain healthy relationships and healthy interactions for your healthy being. I hope my closing remark is as juicy as I thought. And please stay tuned for my next video. It's going to be on nutrition. It's going to be on what you should eat when you want to get pregnant. I know that God is the one that gives pregnancies, but also He blesses those that know. I always say also that ignorance is no excuse. All right. So if you know something, if you have knowledge about something that can really help you, sometimes we suffer consequences of our own ignorance. Sometimes we suffer consequences of our own ignorance, and no wonder, the purpose of this video. No wonder, the purpose of this channel. No wonder etiquette in this society. All right. No wonder we have etiquette in this society. Etiquette is good. Etiquette helps us. Etiquette teaches us what to do and what not to do. So my next video will be about what the what a lady should eat, and even what a man should eat when they want to make a woman pregnant and when a woman wants to get pregnant. Thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for my next video. I hope you will enjoy it as much, and remember to practice what you've learned from this video and set your own boundaries, because we live in a world full of boundaries. Our bodies by themselves require boundaries, or they're made of boundaries. We can't just do anything with our bodies and expect them to function properly. Okay, so we live in a world full of boundaries, and we have a right to set our boundaries. And people who love us will have no problem actually to stick to our boundaries. It will be so easy for them to stick to our boundaries because they love us, because they respect us. And those who do not respect our boundaries maliciously, those people do not respect us. That's it from me. Adios. See you in my next video. Thank you for watching.